Okay. Christ my Lord, the giver of light and wisdom, who opened the eyes of the blind man and transformed the fishermen into wise heralds and teachers of the gospel through the coming of the Holy Spirit, shine also in my mind the light of the grace of the Holy Spirit. Grant me discernment, understanding, and wisdom in learning. Enable me to complete my assignments and to abound in every good work. For to you I give honor and glory. Amen. Most blessed Lord, send the grace of your Holy Spirit on me to strengthen me, that I may learn well the subject I am about to study, and by it become a better person, for your glory, the comfort of my family, and the benefit of your church and our nation. Amen. All right. I believe you have papers for me, and I have papers for you. So we will trade. I'll come around and take your papers first.
Alrighty.
So we won't mix it up. Oh, you just lost. All your notes just exploded. Oh, you just lost something on the floor over there, Ben. Thank you. All right. Let me find your papers. I'm just going to use all these chairs. Okay. I have Katya. I don't think I have any ask me about thises. So I tried to give you just advice, as I always do. How could you expand this, right? Because okay, first of all, there's no one who didn't do what I asked you to do. We're fine. But it could be more in depth maybe. So, and you can also sometimes take it that the more specific notes I give you, it means your overall writing is really good, right? So I have nothing to say about that. So now I want to say, well, how can we up the bar a little bit by maybe expanding on things? Here, let me grab my stuff. Okay, let me find my marker as well, and then I'll be good. All right, I told you that for the next, I don't know how many weeks, we're going to be looking at an artist or two each week, because there were so many talked about in that Dorothy Mills chapter, and a lot of them I'm sure you were familiar with, Leonardo da Vinci and whatnot. Some of them you might not be familiar with. So I brought in two for this week. But first of all, what I'd like to do before I show it to you, I'd like to reread what she said about that artist in that first chapter, second chapter. So the first one is, where's it? Fra Angelico. All right, now the Fra part, it's like Fra Angelico, that's a weird name. Fra means frater, brother. He's Dominican friar, Fra. And Angelico, I bet you can figure out what that means. Angelico? Take a guess? What? Angel, angelic. Mm-hmm. So he's the angelic brother, Fra Angelico. That is not what his parents named him, right? This is the name he is known to us as. And actually, Dorothy Mills tells it better because she quotes a biographer. Here's what she says. He avoided all worldly intrigues, living in purity and holiness, and was as benign to the poor as I believe heaven must now be to him. He was always busy with his paintings, but would never do any but holy subjects. He might have become rich, but he cared nothing for it. For he used to say that true riches consisted in being contented with little. He might have ruled many, but would not, saying that there was less trouble and error in obeying others. And then Dorothy Mill's comment about him is, we are told that Fra Angelico prayed as he worked, and everything that he painted shows a spirit of loving reverence and a care for every detail. That's Fra Angelico. So let's look at a couple of works of Fra Angelico. This one that I dropped on the stairs is one. Obviously, it's Mary and Jesus. It's a Madonna and Child. Hold it for the camera. Again, I want you guys to remember, look here, Luke. I want you guys to remember that Byzantine stiff style that we looked at a couple weeks ago. Here, I'm going to have to move this back a little bit to get to you, ladies. He lived in a monastery in Florence, and one of his famous paintings he just did at the top of the stairs. The place he lived was very bare. It was very minimalist, not decorated, and so he did this beautiful painting of the Annunciation right at the top of the stairs with a note underneath saying, "Oh, whenever you go up the stairs, oh brothers, do not forget to greet the Holy Virgin, as you pass the picture." So this is what was important to him, right? Celebrating holy subjects. I'm going to let you pass this one down because there's a lot going on. This is obviously the Adoration of the Magi. So this is Fra Angelico. I am going to get to see some of Fra Angelico's work when I go to Florence in May. I'm very excited. I'm reading an art book right now, getting me ready for some of the stuff that I'm going to see. Yeah, I'm excited, yes. I would love to bring you pictures, yes. Mm-hmm. Even if you aren't my student next year, you could still get together with me. I'd come to your house and show you my pictures. Because who doesn't love to show their pictures from their trips? Everybody loves to do that. The other artist, and ladies, when you're done looking at that, you can just set it on the table. The other artist I want to look out today is named Botticelli. Sandro, this is how you spell Botticelli. It was actually, he took this name from his mentor. This is what Dorothy Mills has to say about Botticelli. In his painting, Botticelli showed that he had studied ancient sculpture by the freedom with which he arranged his groups. Okay, let me stop that there. He had studied ancient sculpture. Remind me again, what does Renaissance mean? Rebirth, and what is being reborn? Art, and because they've been looking at what kind of art to inspire them? Greek and Roman. And so as they started rediscovering this, they wanted to imitate it. And Botticelli was chief among these. So remember, Fra Angelico, I just want it to be holy. I just want holy subjects. Okay, she says, Dorothy Mills says, Botticelli's chief aim was beauty. He was not telling a story like Giotto or offering his work as an act of devotion like Fra Angelico, but he was striving to attain sheer beauty of form and line. Botticelli only cared about the fact that it was beautiful. You might be familiar, I didn't bring it in because it involves a lady without clothes, but you might have seen, actually I did bring it in because it's in this book, Venus rising from the sea and she's standing on a big seashell, like a naked lady standing on a seashell. Mm-hmm. That's Botticelli. I discovered it's life size. That painting is life, and I'm going to see it when I go to Florida. And it's just, it's wall size. I know. But I brought a few clothes people in from Botticelli for you guys to look at. if you can just see it from there. First of all, Botticelli did portraits. And here are a couple of his portraits. Just got, like we would go to Penny's or Sears and get a picture made. They set for a portrait. And these are just young men of Florence whose families were obviously wealthy enough to have Botticelli paint their pictures. I have another portrait that I marked. Oh, yes, this one. Okay, this is Giuliano de' Medici. This is one of the Medici family. And I just want you to look at this and then give me an adjective that you think describes this guy.
Doesn't care.
Okay. Is doesn't care an adjective? Yeah, can you sum up in one word what you think he's thinking or what his attitude towards life is?
Haughty.
Haughty. I like it. You know, he's literally looking down his nose. Like they say, he looks down his nose at people. Yeah, a little annoyed. Like he's above all. I'm just too good for all of this. This is what it strikes me about Mr. Medici. Here is, though, another subject. And remember, what he's just trying to make it beautiful. Here's Mary and Jesus, and I just care about, and you know what? It is beautiful. Look at this guy's hair. I know it's a guy, because they used to have longer, that was the style. You know, Jesus kind of playing around, right? Like a baby. He's moving his arms and legs. Look at her gorgeous clothes. Out back. The details of the background, scenery out back. It's a gorgeous picture. Absolutely gorgeous. Apparently, this picture is in Boston. I mean, it's not. They're not in Boston. The painting is hanging in Boston. Okay, this is another that's basically life-size. I'm going to get to see this one. This one is called Primavera, or Spring. It's very busy. The center figure is Venus, Aphrodite, hovering above her, her son Cupid. Over on this side are the three Graces dancing, and Mercury is next to them. He's holding up his caduceus and stopping the winds. So that's what's going on over here. Over here, this is some weird stuff going on over here. The blue guy is a wind, and he's kidnapping a woman who he transforms into Flora. This is the same woman. He kidnaps her and transforms her into Flora, the flower lady. And they live happily ever after. I don't know, maybe. And this is also another enormous painting that's in the gallery in Florence. He's not only painting holy subjects, B, just wants it to be beautiful. Here's a close-up of Venus from the painting. The clothing, the little locket, the necklace that she's wearing, the detail in the foliage. He just paints beauty. Okay, I've got a couple more. As you can guess, the fact that I have a whole book of Botticelli, here is his Adoration of the Magi. Look at the building that they're on. Look at how he's positioned everything. We have the center group, and on both sides we have groups of people. And they're going off into the distance. That's beautiful. One thing Botticelli and the Renaissance artists did is they discovered principles of perspective. Do you know what I mean by that? like angles, yes. So I'm not good at this. So you guys know I'm no artist, right? But when you paint a picture, okay, so say this is the horizon. This is where the sky meets the ground off in the distance. And there's there's train tracks, right? And so towards the front of the picture, they'll be kind of wide apart, but they will converge. I realize it's not straight. I realize it's not good, but you get the idea. Because they look bigger with the part that's closer to us, and they look smaller farther away. Well, if you took every line in the painting, and if these were straight, I would need a straight edge to really do this properly. See, if I continued them, they would meet at a place, right? And if I took another line and it met in that place, and I took another line over, let's bring it over, all the way over here, and it met in that place, then if I wanted to draw something over here, I would, I don't know what to draw. Like I'm drawing a building or something, and so I would draw the edges along that line. Okay, that's not very straight. Okay, that's the front of a building. And I would draw the edges of this building. And not only that, but this top of the building would also be on a line that met there. Except I'm not good and I'm not using a straight edge. This is called the vanishing point. This place in a picture where everything converges. And when you do that, it looks real. It looks like it would look if you were standing there. And see, for a long time, artists were just not caring about this, right? It's just like, they would make someone bigger because they were more important, right? The small people are not important, the big people are important, done. But in this, the big people are going to be in the front, the small people are going to be in back, and they're going to get smaller by a mathematical rule. And so take a look again at the Adoration of the Magi. Can you see, I mean, if we got a straight edge, I'm looking in the, so look at this line of people. I can't do it that way. Look at this line of people and this line of people. Look at this line and this line. See, he's got a vanishing point in the distance, which is why this looks, A, so beautiful. It pleases our eyes and our minds. Second of all, it looks really real. Okay, one more Botticelli. This is his Annunciation. And I guess the thing I want to point out here is movement. The angel is, look at the flowing clothes. It's very active. And Mary's in the act of either being a little alarmed or, what why would you come to me? All right, Botticelli. I'm also going to see this one. This is in the in Florence at the Uffizi Gallery. All right, that is Botticelli. That is not a very good job. If you are interested in art, I will lend you art books. Also, you can look things online. Almost all of this is available online. Right now I'm looking for my paper towel to, wipe the board. All right. Let us move on to the Holy Roman Empire. Guys, I am going to confess something to you. This book has an awful lot of politics and historical information. We're even going to skip a couple of chapters, just because I think it's a little overwhelming. It's more than we could spend a whole year just on this book, and we still wouldn't get all of it. So I want to hit the highlights, and then we're going to talk about Fellowship of the Ring. So let's go over our questions on page 45. I brought my big map. Let me double check what maps are in the back. Unfortunately, I don't have a map that shows. You know what? We might use that map in the back. Okay. So let's recap. How did this Holy Roman Empire start? This was not in your chapter. Who got to be Holy Roman Emperor first? He got crowned on Christmas Day, and he claimed that it was a total surprise that he was being crowned. Who was that guy? Hint number 2. He was the king of the Franks. Hint number 3. He has the Great in his name, although we don't usually say his name in English, and therefore we don't say the Great. We say it in a French-sounding word. Charlemagne.
Yes.
Charlemagne. Charles the Great. Okay. That was way back in 800 BC. Not 800 AD, not BC. It would have been really weird. It was back in 800. Now we're up to 1400, 1500, right? So it's like more than twice as long as America has been a country. This has been going on. And mostly this area is Germany, but it's not the same as what we call Germany today. So my first question for you, what 2 offices did emperors, Holy Roman emperors, hold at the same time? Luke.
He was the Holy Roman Emperor and the King of the Germans.
He was the king of the Germans, but he was also the Holy Roman Emperor, which meant he ruled over a lot more than just Germans. Now, question, just think about it for a minute. Let's pretend we're German back then. How do we feel about the fact that our king, our leader, is also the leader of another entity? And why do you think so? Okay, that is one way we might look at it. We're awesome. You know, the king of Spain or the king of the Franks, he's just the king of them. Our king is also the Holy Roman Emperor, so we are awesome. This is one way you could think about it. Can anybody think of another way you might think about it?
Or like, he's like not spending more time with his, like you gotta divide his time instead of us just getting all.
He's busy with all these other people that we don't care about. Hey, I thought he was supposed to be in charge of us. What about us? So it's kind of a love-hate relationship, as they say. And we like the fact that we're very powerful. We don't maybe like the fact so much that he's involved in affairs that don't involve Germans. All right. So when we started this chapter out, we had Maximilian. When he was emperor when it turned into the 1500s. And what was his immediate aim as a ruler? According to Dorothy Mills, she used that term. His immediate aim was?
To increase his own prestige.
Okay. I am looking. Yes, that is, page 63, I wrote. Maximilian's immediate aim, it says, was to increase his own prestige and that of his house by adding to his dominions. What does that mean? Adding more land, taking over more people. By negotiation, if possible, but if peaceful methods failed, by conquest. You will belong to me whether you like it or not. and by politic marriages. What does that mean? How can you get more land by marrying someone?
Like if you have a daughter and or a son, and they marry like the daughter of another kingdom, then his son will own that.
Yes. Especially if she doesn't have any brothers and the whole thing comes to her. She is a catch, right? I don't know if she's nice. I don't know if she's pretty, but if she's got a bunch of land, I know, gotcha. So this is what he spends time doing. Negotiating, conquering, and marrying his children off to various people. So it says Maximilian increased both his prestige and his wealth by marrying Mary, the heiress of Burgundy, which is is northern Italy. Northern Italy, southern France, it's not the same borders that we had. His son, the Archduke, married Joanna of Spain. Right, we got it? So he himself marries the heiress of Burgundy, so now he owns Burgundy. He marries his son to the Princess of Spain. Okay, can everybody grab your Dorothy Mills book? And it's page 64 to me. It's part 2. It's chapter 3, part 2. And if you don't have yours, Julia, you can look on with Katya. Okay. And do you guys have a family tree?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to look at. I want to find the family tree. All right, so let's take a look at this. Because the next question's about Charles V, and we need to take a look at this guy. All right, over on the upper right, we have Maximilian and Mary of Burgundy, right? We just talked about that. They have 2 kids. Ben's in the restroom. They have 2 kids. Margaret, their daughter, becomes the governess of the Netherlands. What? And their son marries Joanna of Spain. Do you see that connection? Who are Joanna's parents? Mm-hmm. Ferdinand and Isabella. Does that ring a bell? No pun intended, Isabella. Does Isabella ring a bell? Yes, Ben, who are Ferdinand and Isabella?
Didn't they give permission for Lewis and Clark to sail the ocean blue?
Not Lewis and Clark.
Oh, Thomas Jefferson?
No. It is? He sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
No, what is his name?
Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Columbus. This is that Ferdinand and Isabella. The Ferdinand and Isabella that gave Columbus money. So this puts it all in time, right? That's what's happening at the same time. Their daughter, Joanna, married the son of the Holy Roman Emperor. They have 3 kids. Charles V, Isabella of Portugal, and, well, no, I'm sorry. That Isabella is not their kid. They have 2 kids, Charles and Mary. Mary takes over as governess of the Netherlands. Charles marries Isabella of Portugal, and they have a son named Philip II. Now, can you just leave your hand, whatever, keep all this open. How many things can you open at the same time? Like tabs on your computer. Everybody turn to the map on page 83 in the back of your reading guide. This is really the most interesting thing about this whole time period, in my opinion. So let's take a look at this area. All right. Look at the Holy Roman Empire. And the Netherlands is just the northern part of that. Burgundy is the part of the Holy Roman Empire that sticks down into Italy. Do you see how the diagonal lines kind of go down into Italy a little bit? Now, look at Portugal. Look at the thing that's called Castile Leon and Aragon, Catalonia. all of that was Charles V is going to run it all. Charles V's mom gives him, Charles V's dad gives him the Holy Roman Empire with the Netherlands and Burgundy. I mean, because, oh yeah, Charles V, whatever. He's running almost all of Europe. Now, who do you think in this scenario doesn't really like Charles very much? What's the one place that he's not in charge of? Well, he's in charge of, his aunt is running the Netherlands.
Poland.
Well, Poland, but who's surrounded? France. France is surrounded by Charles. Charles is not his best friend. Wait, say it again, Julia.
Were we talking about Philip V?
Oh, no, we're talking about Charles now. The one that gets all of this because of his mom, Spain, because of his dad, the empire, and everything that went with it. And so Francis is stuck in the middle. I kid you not. Francis, the king of France was named Francis. This makes it very easy to remember. Francis first. This is dirty, but do you remember, well, over on this map it says Byzantine Empire over there in the east, but it's not anymore, right? Because by this time the Turks have taken over. Constantinople has fallen. And those Turks are heading, so Poland, Hungary, they're pushing in from that direction because they would like to take over all of Europe. This is what they do. Guess what Francis did to tick Charles off and cause problems? He got in touch with the Turks and coordinated with them to attack on the other side of the Holy Roman Empire, just to keep Charles busy so he wouldn't mess with Francis. Guys, have we learned anything from history so far this year? What happens when you call in another person to attack someone that you want to get rid of or cause trouble with? Hey, come in here and attack my enemies for me. What happens?
They stay.
They stay. What does Francis think's going to happen to Europe if the Turks conquer? Fortunately, they didn't. They didn't. Charles had enough troops to keep them at bay. Oh my goodness. That's what his mind was thinking though, right? I will do anything. I will work with heathen Turks just to bring down Charles. Okay. All right, you may leave that map. I just wanted you to see how much of Europe we're talking about here, and it is a considerable portion. Okay. However, just because his dad or his grandpa were emperor doesn't mean you get to be emperor. Emperor isn't handed on that way. It's elected. You elect the emperor. So because his mom, we're looking at that family tree again. Just because he has all that power, and his dad is the Archduke Philip, and his mom is Joanna of Spain, doesn't mean you automatically get it. So my next question for you was, how did he get elected? What did he do, Luke?
He cheated.
And in what way did he cheat? Do you remember?
Didn't he like?
He bribed and corrupted
Yeah, he bribed everybody. He bribed people better than Francis, who also wanted to be emperor. The other guy who wanted to be emperor was Henry VIII. Henry VIII of England, that we know as the guy who had 6 wives, and only one of them lived through it.
Yeah. That was not good.
Divorced people.
And divorced, beheaded, survived. Mm-hmm.
They were still like divorced too. They still
Oh, yes. No one but one of them ended their lives, though, still married to him. Okay, I guess, yes, this is true. 2 of them were divorced. We will be talking about that whole situation later when we read about England. But anyway, these were the three guys up for it. And Dorothy Mills says, for a very long time, shameless corruption and bribery had marked the imperial elections. But the election of 1519 was one of the worst that was ever recorded. Charles gave instructions to his agents in Germany to spare nothing, to give whatever was asked, if only they could secure for him the election. They outbid the supporters of Francis, and the result was a unanimous vote for Charles. Charles was only 19 years old when he was elected to the office of Holy Roman Emperor. All right. So, and he inherits a ton, which, okay, we already discussed the last question, obviously. But you tell me, why did Charles rule so many different countries? From all his family tree. In 1555, he decided he didn't want to be emperor anymore, and he left it to his son. Now, imagine, what do I want to say? Imagine that the President of the United States is also the ruler of Mexico and New Zealand and, I don't know, India. These are very far apart places, obviously. Do you think the people in Mexico, India, and New Zealand are very similar to each other? No. They speak different languages. They have different customs. How are the people living in New Zealand and Mexico and India liking being ruled by America? They think America understands them? They think that America has their best interests at heart? No. So here's the problem. The people in the Netherlands are like, he doesn't even speak our language. Well, actually, he did. He was more comfortable with that. Actually, it was the people in Spain. His mom was Spanish, but he didn't grow up in Spain. And when he was elected king of, or when he became king of Spain, people were like, this guy doesn't even speak Spanish. What? How would we like it if the president of the United States didn't speak English? That would be kind of awkward, wouldn't it? You really ought to speak the official language of the country you rule. He learned. In fact, this is what Charles eventually famously said. I speak Spanish to God, Italian to women, French to men, and German to my horse. He eventually learned all these languages, but he didn't really feel at home with all of them. They weren't where he grew up, right? So finally, it was big headaches. People were always arguing. The Netherlands was always rebelling, and he gave it up. Now, something else happened while Charles was emperor, and it is something I'm going to read about more. Martin Luther was in Germany, and he decided that there were some things he really didn't like about the church, and he posted a paper on the church door listing 95 reasons why he didn't agree with the church, and this sparked the Reformation. And Charles was so busy fighting those Turks that Francis had sent over, and dealing with the Netherlands, and dealing with his people in Spain, that he just kind of ignored it. He just really, he just said, okay, would you guys do something about that monk in Germany? Because I don't have time for that right now. And by the time they got around to doing something about it, it was 30 years later, and everything had exploded. The Reformation had exploded in Germany. So we will be hearing a lot more about Charles V. That's all I want to talk about there was more in the chapter. There's much more to say about him. But just keep him in mind because all this stuff is going on at the same time. Oh my goodness, we have Columbus going. And now suddenly being king of Spain is a really good deal because boatloads of wealth are coming back from the New World. And they're sending out explorers. And then in Germany, this guy decides the church is wrong and we're going to... It's all happening at the same time. So that means that when we read about all these other things, Charles is going to pop up again. So please don't forget him. Don't forget this guy who was almost in charge of all of Europe, but spent his time putting out fires, as they say. Not literal fires. Maybe sometimes literal, but metaphorical, because people were rebelling because, like, well, he doesn't care about us, he cares about them. No, he doesn't care about us, he cares about, because he was ruling so much. Does this all make sense? It's complicated, but, so he's the go-to guy because he's the most powerful man in Europe during most of this book that we're going to read. So we're going to hear about him again and again. All right, for next week, we are reading chapter 4, and we're going to talk about Spain. You might guess that you're going to hear more about Charles V, because his grandma and grandpa are Ferdinand and Isabella, and he was eventually ruler of Spain as well. So read all of chapter 4 for next week and answer the questions. And maybe you can tell me, I didn't ask this specifically. There's something different about Spain than the rest of Europe. All through the Middle Ages, there was something different. And in the time we're reading about, that different thing finally went away. So that's your thing to look for. All right, that's assignment number 1. All right, let us look at writing. I want to talk about Fellowship of the Ring while we talk about our writing. And I, in particular, and we're going to go back to The Hobbit a little bit too while we talk. And by the way, does somebody have a timepiece or a phone that you can, what is the official time? I'm going to. Okay, I wanted to see if that clock was right. And it is.
Mine says 9:53.
Close enough. If it was 10 o'clock already or it was only 9:40, I wanted to know that because I wanted to change that clock. What is something that all stories need to really get exciting? Oh, okay, definitely. But what, do you remember my, I think I've used this with you guys, my sample plot. Here's my sample plot. One morning, Susie woke up and it was her birthday. You remember, Katya. And she had her favorite breakfast. And what do we need, Luke?
Problem.
We need a problem.
The eggs were burnt.
What?
The eggs were burnt.
Yes. See, now we have an issue. Poor Susie now is just upset. And she starts to question the universe. How could the eggs be burnt on my birthday? And okay, and so now we're engaged with Susie. But if everything goes perfectly for Susie, it's really, really boring. So most, or all, good stories have some sort of problem. And what is the technical literary term for that problem? Well, that's the high point. That's where the problem gets resolved. But we call the problem something. You might have these with your siblings. I'm sure you never do. Fights. But we don't call them fights when we study literature. We call it a... You're very close. All these are perfectly good terms. Conflict. The conflict. Juliet, would you just reach behind you and just open that door again? It's. I don't know if it just wants to close. Can you get it, Katya? Just to make sure we have plenty of warm air. If it, If it continues to close, we'll just put a chair in front of it. I know, I'm sorry for the sound, but I think we'd rather be warm and not worry about the sound. Okay. So tell me, let's look back at The Hobbit. Yes, tell me why. Tell me a conflict in The Hobbit.
The dwarves, mountain was taken over.
Okay, so that's the dwarves versus who? Yeah, dwarves versus dragon. Dwarves versus dragon. So what do the dwarves want that they can't get?
Gold.
Gold.
Their homeland.
And Smaug is the one keeping it.
He's sleeping in it.
He's sleeping in it because that's what dragons do. So this is a conflict. Whenever we have two parties that want different things. And we kind of read the story, we're like, well, who's going to win? Who's going to get what they want? And how are they going to do it? Tell me another conflict, because there's tons. It can be little ones and big ones. If it's a very simple story, for example, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This is a very simple story, right? And there's one conflict. Goldilocks wants food and chair and bed, and she upsets the bears by, eating the food and breaking the chair and sleeping in the bed. This is simple. But more complicated stories might have more conflicts. Tell me some other conflict in The Hobbit.
Fighting the ring.
Fighting what?
The ring.
Okay, well, and what was the conflict?
Gollum, I guess.
Okay, Gollum. Bilbo versus Gollum. What does Gollum want?
Ring.
Okay, but he doesn't know Bilbo has the ring.
He wants to eat Bilbo.
Gollum wants to eat Bilbo. I know. And what does Bilbo want?
To eat Gollum.
Okay, to not be eaten. I don't think Gollum would be good eating. Honestly.
I feel like I'll
Just to get rid of Gollum.
Yeah, just but what does Bilbo really want at that moment though?
to survive.
The way out.
And to get out.
Yeah, to survive and to find the way out. Yes. So when we read that, like, okay, who's going to get what they want? Somebody, those things. Do you understand what is meant by mutually exclusive? It means two things you can't have both at the same time. You can have vanilla and chocolate ice cream at the same time in the same bowl. Those are not mutually exclusive. But one tub, well, that's not true either because it couldn't be Neapolitan. You can't be, I know you're going to argue with this. You can't be indoors and outdoors at the same time. I know you could stand in the doorway, but then you're neither, right? They're mutually exclusive. Playing outside or playing inside. Yeah, I mean, you can, okay, maybe you have a gazebo or something. I realized.
Outside, you're playing in God's hands.
Okay. See, I knew you guys would find a way around it. But so Bilbo being eaten and Bilbo surviving
Is not.
are mutually exclusive. Do you see what I mean? Both can't happen. So somebody's not going to get what they want.
Unless he got an arm cut off, he was kind of eaten that way.
Oh, see, you guys are tricky. You're tricksy. You're tricksy. Gollum would say you're tricksy. He's tricksy. So we watch that and we think, well, there's a lot at stake in this conflict. Life, finding the way out. Okay, so that's a very important conflict and a big conflict. Tell me another one. There's some smaller ones.
Wolves.
Okay, with the trolls. The trolls want to eat the dwarves. The dwarves do not want to be eaten. Spiders. Spiders want to eat. There's lots of. The elves' prison.
Orcs.
Orcs. The goblins. The goblins want to capture them.
The stone weird storm battle.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Find the door, maybe.
Trying to find the door. What? Okay. How is trying to find the door different from all those ones we just listed?
Most of those are you could die.
Okay.
That one is
Finding
just
doors are smuts.
yeah.
Okay. So, but this is true. So you're going to have to use another tactic to get away. Although Bilbo did use smarts to some extent to get away from Gollum, and they did use smarts to get away from the goblins. But
It's not like a combat thing.
okay, and I'm digging Julia for why that is. Listen and tell me which one's different and why. Listen. dwarves versus dragon, dwarves versus spiders, dwarves versus goblins, dwarves versus trolls, dwarves versus finding the door, dwarf versus door, dwarves versus mountain.
Creatures and
Okay, all the other ones were against a creature. What's this one against?
Door.
A door. So, and the door, I realize it's been made, but it's kind of part of the nature of the place, right?
Some things that happen so you can see it.
Yeah. For example, Bomber fell in the water in Mirkwood. And so what were they fighting? What was Bomber fighting against?
Sleepiness.
Sleepiness. That's not the same as troll or goblin. It was something that happened in the nature of the place. Does that make sense to you guys? So I'm trying to think, is there anything else in The Hobbit that happened because of not against another character, but against so they're going through Mirkwood. What's the problem in Mirkwood?
dark.
It's dark, and what eventually becomes the problem when they leave the path? They can't find the way out.
And then they get captured by
That
Plus spiders in it.
yes. Now, so not can't find the way out. That's a problem, right? But it's not a character. Like the Mirkwood is not a character. It's a place. So sometimes you might fight against a place, if that makes sense. Okay.
Fighting against the wolf with food. Like you see the owls feast.
Oh yes,
Pulls them off the horse.
yes. They're fighting against hunger too. In that case, aren't they? Which is something that's not even outside of you. Right? It's their desire for food. Now, let's bring up one more type of conflict in The Hobbit. And it is, how does Bilbo feel at the beginning? Okay, they're talking about Treasure, the little fellow bobbing and puffing on the mat, they call him. And how does he feel? Tell me some ways that Bilbo's feeling at that moment.
Upset
Why is he upset?
because they've gone names.
Okay, because he doesn't want to be called names.
maybe not angry, but he's
No, angry. The dwarves ransacked his pantry.
Okay, yeah, and you know how he feels about his food.
Like prove himself, so like that's why he decides like he's feeling not prideful.
Indignant.
Yes. He's
About
feeling
indignant.
Like, no, I'm gonna prove him wrong.
Okay, but is he a little bit afraid?
Yeah.
Would he rather stay home and just put his feet up? But yeah. So do you see? We have two things fighting. I just really like to be comfortable and stay here and eat my food and be warm. But
All my food's gone.
well, yeah, he'll get more. But I also don't like being insulted like that. And you know, that'd be pretty cool to be thought fierce and brave. Yeah, Ben.
In my paper, I said, and in the book, it says he has two sides. He has non-adventurous and adventurous.
Yes, fighting it out inside him. What is that conflict between?
Himself.
Himself.
My mom is in the non-adventurous folk. My dad is.
Yes.
No, my mom is the adventurous.
Yeah, the took side. So you can have a fight inside yourself. Whether or not you should do something, or whether or not you want to feel a certain way. And these are legitimate kinds of conflict. And so we named a lot of conflict. Oh, how about the dwarves? The dwarves with Thorin when they're in the mountain. The dragon's dead. And Bard is there. And Thorin's like, you cannot have any of my stuff. You could leave. I'm not going to deal with armed people. Did all the dwarves agree with Thorin?
No.
But did they love Thorin?
Yeah.
Do you think that they had some argument inside their own heads? I don't think. I love Thorin, and he's in charge. He's the king. But I think he's making a bad call.
Because didn't they have to?
Yeah.
They
So even which you just gave me a paper on, taking the Arkenstone, right? Bilbo well, not sure this was supposed to be part of my share, but this is what I did. He's even got a conflict over that. He makes his decision and he uses it, but he's not sure he should. Okay, does that make sense? So, that said, let's talk about,
Frodo.
Frodo and the beginning of the fellowship. So, first of all, I marked some things that I wanted to look at. Did you read the prologue?
Yes.
As I asked you to. There's a lot of backstory. I didn't mean the forward, but the prologue. The history of hobbits, pipeweed, how the Shire is organized. Hobbits have been on the outskirts, right? A lot of other people in Middle-earth don't even know they exist. If they do, they think they're just from some sort of legend or tale, because they just keep a low profile. They don't have a lot of adventures. They spend their time at home in the Shire, and they just don't care to have adventures. So, Bilbo is getting very old at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. It says at 99, they began to call him well preserved, but unchanged would have been nearer the mark. There were some that shook their heads and thought this was too much of a good thing. It seemed unfair that anyone should possess, apparently perpetual youth, as well as reputedly inexhaustible wealth. It will have to be paid for, they said. It isn't natural, and trouble will come of it. And then Gandalf comes, and Gandalf looks at Bilbo, and Bilbo says he feels tired. He feels stretched. He says, like butter scraped over too much bread. And he just doesn't feel okay. But he's made up his mind to go away. Why does he want to go away?
It was like a rare eternal holiday.
Yeah, he wants to go.
To die.
Well, I don't know that it's to die. Just a second. I was looking for my purse because I want a Kleenex.
He says he wants to mountains.
He wants to see mountains. He wants to go on a last adventure. And he's just tired. He seems to know that he keeps living and living and living, and something isn't fulfilling about it anymore. And so he wants to go, and he's going to leave Frodo, his nephew, as his heir, including Gollum's ring.
He doubts too because he almost turned into Gollum.
Yes. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at that portion. Let's take a look at that. He says he's going to put it on the mantle, but then he just sticks it back in his pocket. He doesn't have any control over it. I think, Bilbo, Gandalf said quietly, I should leave it behind. Don't you want to? Well, yes and no. Now, it comes to it, I don't like parting with it at all, I may say. And I don't really see why I should. Why do you want me to? He asked, and a curious change came over his voice. It was sharp, and with suspicion and annoyance. You are always badgering me about my ring, but you have never bothered me about the other things I've got on my journey. No, but I had to badger you, said Gandalf. I wanted the truth. It was important. Magic rings are, well, magical, and they are rare and curious. I was professionally interested in your ring, you may say, and I still am. By the way, what story? So Bilbo wrote a book about his adventures, there and back again. And what did he say? How does he say he got the ring? What's the version that he told everyone? Do you remember? He tells everyone he won it from Gollum in the contest.
And he did. What did he?
He didn't. He just found it. It just came to him. But he didn't tell the truth about it.
But
And Bilbo doesn't seem like the kind who doesn't tell the truth. So Gandalf says later, this bothered me. It bothered me, and I finally, so this is the badgering. I needed to get the truth out of you. So Bilbo flushed, and there was an angry light in his eyes. His kindly face grew hard. Why not? He cried. What business is it of yours, anyway, to know what I do with my own things? It's my own. I found it. It came to me. Yes, yes, said Gandalf. There's no need to get angry. If I am, it's your fault, said Bilbo. It's mine, I tell you. My own. My precious. Yes, my precious. The wizard's face remained grave and attentive, and only a flicker in his deep eyes showed that he was startled and indeed alarmed. It has been called that before, he said, but not by you. But I say it now, and why not? Even if Gollum said the same once, it's not his now, it's mine, and I shall keep it, I say. Gandalf stood up. He spoke sternly. You will be a fool if you do, Bilbo, he said. You make that clearer with every word you say. It has got far too much hold on you. Let it go, and then you can go yourself and be free. I'll do as I choose and go as I please, said Bilbo obstinately. Now, my dear hobbit, said Gandalf, all your long life we have been friends, and you owe me something. Come, do as you promised. Give it up. Well, if you want my ring yourself, say so, cried Bilbo, but you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand strayed to the hilt of his small sword. Gandalf's eyes flashed. It will be my turn to get angry soon, he said. If you say that again, I shall. Then you will see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked. He took a step towards the hobbit, and he seemed to grow tall and menacing. His shadow filled the little room. And then I'm skipping down a paragraph. I don't know what has come over you, Gandalf, he said. You've never been like this before. What's it all about? It is mine, isn't it? I found it, and Gollum would have killed me if I hadn't kept it. I'm not a thief, whatever he said. I've never called you one, Gandalf said. I am not one either. I'm not trying to rob you, but to help you. I wish you would trust me as you used. He turned away and the shadow passed. He seemed to dwindle again to an old gray man, bent and troubled. Bilbo drew his hand over his eyes. I'm sorry, he said, but I felt so queer. And yet it would be a relief in a way not to be bothered with it anymore. It's been growing on my mind lately. Sometimes I felt like it was an eye looking at me. And I'm always wanting to put it on and disappear, don't you know? Or wondering if it's safe and pulling it out to make sure. All right. But when he turns around to leave, he goes to the door and Gandalf says, you've still got the ring in your pocket. Well, so I have, cried Bilbo, and my will and all the other documents too. Bilbo took out the envelope, but just as he was about to set it by the clock, his hand jerked back, and the packet fell on the floor. Before he could pick it up, the wizard stooped and seized it and set it in its place. A spasm of anger passed swiftly over the hobbit's face again. Suddenly it gave way to a look of relief and a laugh. All right, what's the conflict?
Giving up the ring.
Okay, first conflict, and probably the biggest one. Giving up the ring. Okay, giving up the ring. It's what versus what? What two things are fighting in that conflict?
Bilbo's good side. Bilbo's good side and Bilbo's bad side.
Bilbo's good side and Bilbo's bad side. It's under the influence of the ring versus Bilbo's part that doesn't want to be under the influence of the ring. What other conflict goes on at the same time? With another character. With Gandalf versus Bilbo. They're both going on at the same time, right? It's the same conflict, almost. But one is inside Bilbo, and one is outside him. Does that make sense? So what's up with this ring? Yes, but tell me more. So Bilbo leaves, and 17 years passes. And Gandalf comes periodically to the Shire, and he checks on Frodo, and he tells him, don't use it. Keep it secret and keep it safe, but don't use it. Finally, one day, Gandalf comes back, and he tells him everything. And he makes one final test. What is this ring, Ben?
What is the ring?
What is this ring?
The one ring.
What does that mean?
Was supposed to rule them all.
Rule all what?
All the other rings.
All the other rings. So, Sauron, once upon a time, I will summarize. In fact, the book starts with the poem, I do believe. "3 rings for elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie." Gandalf tells Frodo, when he comes back, that Sauron, the Dark Lord, made rings once upon a time, and he distributed them. 3 went to elves, 7 went to dwarfs, 9 went to men. But he had another one made that they didn't know about, and it controls all of them, more or less. And this is that ring. Sauron, just the backstory, I think Gandalf tells you a little bit of this. There are 3 ages so far of Middle-earth, and each age lasts thousands of years, right? And in the second age, Sauron was, in the first age, Sauron had a boss, Melkor or Morgoth. And Morgoth was taken out by the other, what we call the angelic powers, the Valar. In the second age, Sauron was taken out, but he wasn't destroyed because they took his ring. And how many of you have read Harry Potter? How many of you, is anybody familiar with Harry Potter at all? Okay. Then this is solely to you. It's almost like a Horcrux, if you know what I mean. Sauron has put part of himself in this ring. And Sauron cannot be taken out until the ring is taken out, because it's bound to him, all right? They didn't destroy the ring, because the ring is very powerful, and it persuades people not to destroy it. And so Sauron faded, but he's still alive. But he's back. He's back. He's creeping around. He's been in Mirkwood. This is why Mirkwood has gotten kind of sketchy. And now he's retreated to his old home in Mordor, and he's looking for the ring that everybody thinks has been lost. It's never going to find that ring. Gandalf has had his suspicions, and he's done research. This is it. This is it. And it's not safe for anyone. Now, Frodo says, well, Gandalf, why don't you take it? Why would Gandalf? Gandalf's strong. Gandalf's smart. Well, it's so evil, he doesn't want to touch it. In fact, he says, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I can, where he says, oh, here it is. I found it. "Will you not take the ring?" "No," cried Gandalf, springing to his feet. "With that power I should have power too great and terrible. And over me the ring would gain a power still greater and more deadly." His eyes flashed and his face was lit by a fire within. "Do not tempt me, for I do not wish to become like the Dark Lord himself. Yet the way of the ring to my heart is by pity for weakness and the desire of strength to do good. Do not tempt me. I dare not take it, not even to try to keep it safe, unused. The wish to wield it would be too great for my strength. I shall have such need of it. Great perils lie before me." So what do you think he means? The way the ring, The way of the ring to my heart is by pity, pity for weakness and desire of strength to do good. What would Gandalf be like if he took the ring?
So,
What? But maybe eventually. But what would he be thinking he was doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to use the power of the ring. I'm going to save people. I'm going to take care of people. I wonder if this has ever happened to you guys. You see someone making a bad decision. Okay, maybe a sibling. It doesn't have to be a terrible bad decision. They're going to jump off something that's too high and they're going to get hurt. Or they're going to eat something that's not poisonous but not good for them. Or they're going to do something that's, spicy. Or they're going to do something that's going to get them in trouble, right? And you wish you could help them. And you know what? If you could just have control over them and order them to do what you say, they'd be okay. If only I could just take over. If only, have you ever been in a situation, been in a club, and said, you know what, if I could take over, if I were in charge, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd do it this way and everything would be a lot better.
If you were in charge, you would have power and you want more and more.
Yeah. Because eventually, you fix this and you fix that, but now you see other things. And you people, if you just did everything I said, life would be a lot better for you. And before you know it, you're Sauron. Making everybody do everything you want, everything you tell them, because it's for their own good. You think in your mind. Is Gandalf more powerful than Frodo?
yes.
Yes. Frodo's just a hobbit. He's kind of a nobody in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, he's wealthy, he's nice, but he's not powerful. Is Gandalf powerful? Oh yeah, he could light goblins on fire and holy cow, turn his staff into light and lead people out. And he's got powers. He's a wizard. If a nobody gets power, there's a limit to how much bad they can do. If a powerful person gets more power, it could be bad. Does that make sense? So he doesn't want it. Now, I see time is going, and we are going to write something, but it's going to be a shorter thing. Do you remember your thing about character? The thing I just gave back to you? We're going to do a paragraph like that on conflict. Yeah, just one paragraph again. Actually, let's talk about that now, and then I want to bring up a couple more things in fellowship. All right, I will write all this down. You can copy this down somewhere. Here, just like I did with the character paper, I'm going to give you an outline to follow. Okay. Here's what I want in your conflict paragraph. Can you see? I'll move after I write, okay? I can only write from this side. First of all, identify conflict number one. Number one means just any conflict you choose. And I want you to tell me, what does the character want? Or what do the characters want, perhaps? Why can't he get it? And does he finally overcome? And if so, how? What happens? Does that make sense? It's very rudimentary. Like, who's involved in the conflict? What do they each want, or what does one of them want? Why can't they get it? Then I want you to do the same thing for another conflict. I want you to including all these things, right? Same things. And then a third. Conflict number 3. These conflicts can be taken from the Hobbit or the part of the Fellowship that you've already read. And we just talked about a bunch of them. What?
You can do it from the Hobbit too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I would like you, one last sentence, a wrap-up sentence, which, I know, but I will move, is most important in the story. For example, in The Hobbit, what do you think is one of the most important conflicts? What's a key conflict? Okay, finding the ring is not a conflict. Okay, the conflict with Gollum. You could choose that as saying,
Bilbo might have died.
right, and also because now we're finding out that that ring is very special.
The
What?
whole series is kind of weird.
Yes, so you could definitely choose that. What's another, just talking about The Hobbit, what's another conflict that seems a really key one? Finding the door or fighting the dragon. Fighting the dragon. Just because that's the whole story. We went there to get our treasure back, you know. That's what I want you to do. Eventually, we're going to take these paragraphs and we're going to put them together in a literary analysis paper on Lord of the Rings, right? But, so we practiced with character. So guys, in your paper that I gave back to you on character, if I wrote things like, can you give me a specific example? Could you include a quote? Use those ideas. But basically, that's all I want you to do. Does that make sense to everybody? I want you to include, though, all your things. P1, P2, strong verb, alliteration, and simile. Which I know is just one paragraph. That's a bit of a challenge. To include all the figures of speech. Maybe you guys are getting really pretty good at it. It's probably becoming second nature. Work on those similes. Some of your similes were a little rough around the edges, but it's hard. Okay, before I let you guys go, I did want to mention a couple of things that popped up in the part that we read. Okay. Frodo is not really thrilled with what he hears from Gandalf. It's bad news to know that you are the owner of an evil ring that the evil Dark Lord is going to send his minions out to look for, and you're not safe, and none of your friends are safe. And Frodo says, you know, I wish Bilbo never picked it up. And Gandalf says, you know, but came to Bilbo at just the right time. Bilbo was there. Gollum was there. There was something else at work. And any design of the ringmaker, I can put it no plainer than by saying that Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and not by its maker. And in which case, you also were meant to have it. And that may be an encouraging thought. It is not, said Frodo. But then, do you remember when they meet the elves? They encounter this black rider, and they meet the elves. And the elves, he talks to Gildor. Just a second, I want to find what he says. Okay. Gildor says to Frodo, in this meeting there may be more than chance, but the purpose is not clear to me. I fear to say too much. Gandalf and Gildor both think something at work. Is working for the good. So keep an eye on that as you continue to read. Yes.
What if Sauron's actually a good guy who's misunderstood?
Oh, that would be a twist. One more thing I want to add, because I just love it. Sam always had wanted to meet elves, right? This was his dream. He wants to meet the elves, and he met them. And he spent an evening with them and had dinner with them. And Frodo asks him, "Do you still like them now that you've had a closer view?" "They seem a bit above my likes and dislikes, so to speak," answered Sam slowly. "It don't seem to matter what I think about them. They're quite different from what I expected. So old and young, so gay and sad, as it were." Frodo looked at Sam rather startled, half expecting to see some outward sign of the odd change that seemed to have come over him. It did not sound like the voice of old Sam Gamgee that he thought he knew. What do you think he means? They seem to be above my likes and dislikes.
Wise. Very, very wise.
Yeah. Do the elves care what Sam thinks of them? What sorts of people do we not care what they think of us?
The low people.
Yeah, people who are just kind of beneath our notice, our caring. For example, when a 3-year-old says, "I hate you," do we care?
No.
No, because it's 3-year-old. They say that stuff all the time. Out. It's like, you don't know anything, you're 3. We're above their likes and dislikes. We know more. Also, for next week, I would like you to read chapters 5 through 11. 5 through 11. So 6 chapters. Chapter a day. And so write the paragraph, chapters 5 through 11, and read about Spain. And you're looking for what has been different in Spain in the Middle Ages, and that changed in Renaissance times.
What through 11?
5 through 11. So start, in other words, start where you left off. All right, awesome. See you next week.